Hello and welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm Ashley Hobley, and joining me today on the couch, Ciaran Marchant.
Hi, how you going? It's, obligatory couch is much more space, no Dylan, yada yada. I'm just surprised Dylan took this week off, I think the world kind of punished him for not being here, and he will get his due diligence because of it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but nothing really eventful happened this week. Today on the show we'll have some more Deathloop thoughts, another Star Wars game maybe in the works, and Xbox gets outside help because they need it. But first, we had a surprise Nintendo Direct. Pretty much came out, I think it was like the day before. They announced, hey, guess what? 40 minutes. Nintendo Direct. None of this, the third-party friends or indie Direct. It's like direct.
Direct to your doorstep.
Yeah. Via YouTube.
Or Twitch. And you have to be sat on your doorstep to get it at your doorstep.
You have to be watching
a whole thing,
on your phone at your doorstep. Yeah.
And look, if you watch the show on your phone at your doorstep, please tweet us. Tell us, how was it? Was it cold?
Just BlazeNetwork.com/Twitter to let us know. But let's just run through everything that we saw. And we'll obviously stop on some bigger points. Show kicked off Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the new expansion that's coming to Monster Hunter Rise. What a title, Sunbreak. Or as I like to call it, Nights.
Well, the thing is, right, I feel like they missed an opportunity. Well, no. I feel like at first somebody came into it and was like, hey, we're calling the new Monster Hunter Rise DLC Sunrise. And they're like, what, we're going to be advertising Monster Hunter Rise Sunrise? That sounds dumb. Okay, Sunbreak. Let's go.
Yeah.
Sure, I think...
I don't know.
Surprisingly, I haven't heard that much about Monster Hunter Rise since its initial release, so it's getting more. There's obviously going to be Monster Hunter fans everywhere excited for it, and it's a good show opener just to kind of ease people into it. Be like, hey, Nintendo products, Monster Hunter, let's get this show on the road directly to your kitchen. If
you're watching it in your kitchen, which seems more likely than your doorstep. Then next up, we had Mario Party Superstars. Another look at that game. Got looks at Nintendo 64 levels like Woody Woods, Yoshi's Tropical Island, and Horrorland. And also got a look at Mount's minigames, where you'll be able to play a bunch of minigames online, co-op, or competitively in some sort of survival mode element. So it looks like there'll be a reasonable amount of replayability and online functionality, which looks promising, This is the mashup collab, the best of one that we wanted.
Yeah.
That we thought we had last time, but it turned out to be a Nintendo 3DS game.
This is the equivalent of... Yeah. This is the equivalent of... do you remember years ago? They probably don't do them anymore. They used to be the classics range of CDs where it'd be just the essentials, it was called. And there'd be just the grey, black and white picture of the person. Yeah, this is that. This is the best hits, the greatest hits, the classic, the I wanted to say Illuminati, but Illuminati doesn't make sense. So no, this is just the this is the collection of some of the grass. And I think this is a really smart move by Nintendo. As we said when this was first announced, was that Mario Party has some replayability in terms of people actually. It's one of the few games that I actually hear of people getting out their Nintendo 64s or their GameCubes or their Wii's just to be able to play Mario Party. So to pull this out and have all of those maps available, hopefully, in a format where they could, almost like Smash, where you just consistently release new maps to the game and you consistently add more and more to this title. I think this is a really good step for Nintendo.
Cool. Next up, we got our first look at an indie game called The Voice of Cards, The Island Dungeon Roars. So this is RPG set with the art styling of everything's in cards. It's meant to look like a trading card game, I guess, kind of. It's like a weird. It's hard to explain. It's a very visual thing, but it's like you move around like a map, but instead of like actual map pieces, they're all cards instead of like hexagons or something. You know?
Yeah, and
I thought this looks pretty cool.
This looks cool, especially coming from Yoko Taro and Yusuke Saito, who were very heavy hands in the Nier franchise. So it's plain to see that this is probably going to have not just a lot of replayability, most likely with multiple kind of endings or storylines for it, depending on what cards you play. But also just the story itself is probably going to be batshit crazy and Japanese and fantastic to dive into.
Yeah. So there's a demo out on the Switch store. I don't think they've got a date at the moment. So yeah, look forward to that. Disco Elysium, the final cut, announced for Nintendo Switch. That's a game I didn't expect to come to Nintendo Switch.
Look, it is it is a darker game to be seen on your brightly coloured neon Nintendo Switch, but I think it's a good fit.
No, I think it's more the reading element. Thank God it's the version with voice acting.
Yes,
but
yes, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the changes to the font and everything are for the Nintendo Switch version, because I can't imagine they've kept it exactly the same. But yeah, the voice acting, like the final cut, is really well done. The voice acting behind it is amazing. Yeah, I think it's it's one of those things you see it come to Switch and you go, oh yeah, it makes sense, sweet, cool. More people get to play a fantastic game.
Cool. Then we got a trailer for Hyrule Rollers. We got a trailer for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pack, Wave 2, Guardians of Remembers, which is out October 29th. Cool. Okay. People get their Zelda fix.
Is this Hyrule Rollers? Is that the casino based Link game? Where,
that's the Konami tie-in.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But no,
surely in Japan they've got slot machines, and there's got to be Hyrule Rollers.
I would be pretty high on that.
No, there needs to be a Zelda pinball machine with Hyrule.
No. There should be a Zelda pinball machine, but the pinball looks like Zelda spinning around with a sword, and there just needs to be pots everywhere that Zelda just breaks, and grass, and just and
chickens.
Yeah, this show. I think this conversation.
Hit us up, pinball machine companies.
I think this
Pinball FX or whatever it's called, the pinball video game.
I think
they do all the licensed ones.
This conversation really illuminates how much we care and connect with Hyrule Warriors. It's a weird franchise and a weird segment of the Zelda franchise and the Zelda titles that I'm sure people liked and people enjoy. But yeah, it's a more Age of Calamity in Hyrule Warriors. Enjoy.
Speaking of weird tangents
love
franchises.
Bad. No, stop it.
Chocobo GP. This is a Final Fantasy based kart racer. Ciaran.
For those that don't know, I'm currently kind of deep in the haunches of Final Fantasy 14 and a slight gaming addiction to it. But to see this little guy and Chocobo GP leap onto the screen, I was all in. I was like, yep. Let's do it, let's jump into this. It's
Listen, it's been so long since we've had a Mario Kart, full Mario Kart.
Look, somebody should...
A lot of things are trying to catch that void. Fill that void.
It looks... It's crazy how much like Mario Kart this game looks. Like even just some of the level designs, I'm like, shit, that could just be put into Mario Kart and just be a Mario Kart level and nobody would bat an eyelid. It'll be interesting to see how good it is, how well it controls, the extent of kind of character interactions and everything. It'll be funny. The weird thing is that they've done it in a way that seems to exclude a majority of the Final Fantasy main characters, and they're only going to be the side characters or the creatures or the random summons and everything from the from the Final Fantasy games, which will be sure. I was waiting to see Cloud Strife drifting around a corner using his Buster Sword as a as a leverage point, but no.
Hopefully you'll be able to play as the Final Fantasy 15 guys. Like all of them at once in that one big car.
That one big car. That'll be... That car is... I've had the weird... Actually, playing Final Fantasy 14 recently had a event that's based on Final Fantasy 15. You get that car as a mount, and it is 4-seater, and it's pretty great. But at the same time, I have this weird urge to go play Final Fantasy 15 anytime I see the car, because I'm like, I never finished that game. I probably should have put more time and effort into that game, because apparently it's actually
I bought that game and never played it.
Really? No fucking way!
Yeah, that happens a lot, unfortunately. I've been better recently, but no. Apparently coming 2022 will include online play and tournaments for up to 64 players. So, I mean, it's a weird one, but it makes sense with the market how it is at the moment. So, got to fill that void, use that Final Fantasy name recognition, race them chocobos. I mean, it does have some interesting Final Fantasy-esque elements of hey, if you can collect multiple items and build up your magic spell so it's something more powerful, and then each character will have their own special technique or something. So
yeah, that'll be
yeah. So a bit of different flavor. We got the announcement for a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate announcement trailer.
An announcement
presentation.
For an announcement. Let's go, Nintendo.
Yeah, there was a couple of these. October 5th, 7 a.m. Pacific time. I don't know what that is Australian Eastern time, because the website I'm reading from, called explosionnetwork.com, did not translate the times. But it's there that we'll get the reveal of the final fighter, and they'll probably do an in-depth review. Do you have anybody in mind that you're hoping it is?
I don't have anybody in mind, but at the same time, it has to be somebody pretty big, right? It has to, as the final fighter, it has to go out with a bang.
I'm betting, in my mind, the reveal will be hey, this is the final fighter. I know you guys are all disappointed about your character not being the final one, so we're doing another fighter pack.
Nah, I feel like now that they've made this big thing being the final announcement revealed the last fighter to enter the game, it feels very final, which I think is a weird thing for Ultimate in many ways, which is does this mean...
The final fighter needs to be the hand, right?
No, because the hand is unplayable. The hand's never been playable.
He should be... That's why it should be the final fighter.
No, he'd be a terrible fighter. It's a floating hand that's giant.
Yeah.
That'd just be bad. There's... no.
They could make it work.
But at the same time, what do you think exactly this means in terms of where they're going, the Smash Brothers team's going? Do you reckon this is the end so they can either ramp up work on the next installment for Smash Brothers? Do you think they go to work on something else? I
think they go to work on something else. How do you follow up Ultimate?
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that Ultimate was every single Smash Brothers character ever, plus more. Yes, look, Smash Brothers is a really weird game in terms of the esports scene and just the game in general, because because
everybody prefers the game from 20 years ago.
Everybody prefers Melee and plays the shit out of Melee, and Melee is just a bigger game and a bigger tournament. And yeah, it just is an interesting thought on what exactly they're going to do next. Are they going to try and do something completely different? Are they going to move on to the next Smash Brothers? What do they do next in the Smash Brothers franchise? What do Smash players want?
Smash Battle Royale.
That'd actually be kind of cool.
Drop them on a massive field.
That'll actually be kind of cool, but it's only one of each character, and you get randomly assigned a character.
Randomly assigned a character, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. Actually, that'd be a lot of fun.
But yeah, it's 2D, and it's
the map. No, I wasn't. No, I don't think 2D.
Side scrolling.
I don't even think
it can't be 3D.
Why not?
I don't think.
Just.
I think it's too far of a jump. But
look, Epic needs a win. Just get them to put Smash characters in Fortnite, and you've done it already.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
wait. Do you reckon it's gonna be
find out
Fortnite character? They've got Minecraft. Let's go Fortnite.
What, Agent Jones or whatever his name is?
I don't even. The banana peel.
I think it's got to be a Nintendo property.
What Nintendo properties are left?
I know. Everybody's gone. Everybody's in the game. It's crazy. Anyway, we'll find out October 5th. Next up, we've got a brand new Kirby game coming out. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So this is looks like it's a big open world game, 3D platformer, in the style of like a Mario Odyssey or...
It looks like Kirby's getting...
I guess that's the best comparison.
Yeah, it looks like Kirby is getting his own, or their own, Odyssey, like that. I think this is insane that this trailer is at this point in the show. If you consider the kind of lower tier stuff that is kind of coming up in the runtime, having this here is like, fuck, like this game is actually... I mean... To me, I feel like they should be making a bigger deal out of it. I mean, yeah, I think, one, it was kind of like piqued people's interest as like, hey, there is still cool stuff in this direct. Like, keep paying attention. It was leaked, like, in the day before. Right, okay. Which led to a lot of interesting discussion around spoilers and that kind of stuff. A lot of people, there were a bunch of headlines with, obviously, Kirby in the headline, and people were getting very upset that they were spoiling the direct. Yep. Which makes no sense because, it's advertising. Yeah. You can't spoil something is being worked on, I don't think. I guess it's a weird one. Unless fans are like, no, I want to find out things in the direct. I don't want to have the direct. And I guess maybe that's even for people that are like, weren't expecting this direct to be a very big thing. Like, I personally, from everything I'd read and heard about this was just going to be a direct focused on everything coming out in the winter period for Nintendo. This was much bigger than that in many ways. And I feel like maybe people were a bit worried they're stealing some of the thunder out of from Nintendo before the direct. Can I also say it's weird, like Kirby is such a weird franchise for Nintendo. Because it is incredibly prolific. They release like at least one game a year around Kirby. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. It's like weird. And yet I don't think anybody loves Kirby. I feel like people do, but... I don't think it's anybody's favourite franchise, is what I'm saying. I feel like there's definitely a piece of the pie that is Kirby fans. I just feel like Kirby has in many ways a lot of similarities with Mario. In just a lot of ways in terms of the game design, in terms of... And that's kind of run throughout its history. Yes, Kirby eats stuff and can turn into stuff, and he's had... they've had just like a whole bunch of different adventures and different styles of different adventure. Tie-ins, weird stuff. Yeah, so I think Kirby has a very wholesome place in everybody's heart, but at the same time, it's never going to be a prominent franchise for Nintendo, I don't think. Which is sad, because it's definitely done the hard work for... Well, unless this game blows up, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, definitely got, like, freaking Last of Us vibes. With, obviously, the world with, like, overgrown trees and shit. Like, it definitely looks more interesting than any other Kirby games I've seen in a while. Obviously, probably since Epic Gun. Yeah. It's an odd one overall, I think, but I definitely do agree. Next up, after that, we had the announcement of an Animal Crossing Direct. So it's set to be a bunch of new content in October and free content coming in November. Oh no, yeah. So there'll be a Direct in October about free content coming in November. Weird. Animal Crossing, it's still a thing. Remember, you need to go back to your village, like clean up all the weeds and stuff. Oh, it is. You've got to turn on your Switch. You've got to get, side-eyed by all the villagers that you've forgotten. You get to watch the animation. Tom Nook has been like a maintenance fee. Yeah. It's going to be... A lot of players are going to get that animation of coming out of their house for the first time in what could be a year and have frizzy hair and it'll be interesting, but once again, here's an announcement for another announcement. Yuck. Next up, we got
announcement on more free content coming to Mario Golf Super Rush. Koopa Troopa is set to become a new playable character. I was surprised that wasn't already a playable character. And also, Ninja is coming to Mario Golf Super Rush. Ciaran, do you know who Ninja is?
No, not at all.
Apparently, he was in Super Mario 2.
Oh.
It's like a little ninja thing.
I could see that. I just... Nope, nada. Not a clue.
I do not remember this character.
No, definitely not.
Apparently, he's going to swing golf club, so it's all that matters. You know? I'm sure there's certain people who like big Ninja fans, so good for you. Coming to Super Mario Golf Super Rush. I want to say Super Mario Golf, but it's not. Then we got Disney Magical World 2 Enhanced Edition. A weird Disney Kingdom game. I don't think this is going to be for anybody. They also announced Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. The original edition, not the upcoming PS5 remake. This is such weird timing on this.
This is the meme of, hey mum, can I have the new Knights of the Old Republic? And they're like, we have Knights of the Old Republic at home. And it's just
this is hey, we're doing Final Fantasy VII remake. Look, we just updated some of the pixels. Check it out. Remember that troll
yes,
at I think PSX or something? Yeah.
Yes, no, definitely.
Yeah. Dying Light 2 Cloud Edition has been confirmed for Nintendo Switch. Set to release in February when the game comes out. So this is a cloud-only version, which means unless something changes, we can't play it here in Australia. So, that doesn't really matter to us. Also announced Dying Light Platinum Edition. So if you haven't played the game, the first one, that's coming to Nintendo Switch October 19th. So, good tie-in there.
I'm interested to see how that game runs on Switch and how that just generally plays. Even though it's a bit of an older game, it's still a lot of free-flowing movement and running across cities and lots of things on screen at once. It's,
Yeah, that's what I want to do when I'm in handheld mode. Next up, we got Project Triangle Strategy. They got a new name. Just Triangle Strategy. So this is Square Enix almost Final Fantasy Tactics spiritual successor game. Still looks cool, but the name is a weird choice.
Well, this
and a bit lazy.
It goes to the same as Project Octopath Traveler. Hey, look, we're playing Octopath Traveler. It's called just that. It's they don't give a fuck about naming. They just like.
I think that's the thing now. You got enough name recognition. You just can't change the name. It's like we're all calling it God of War Ragnarok. Like, yeah, we'll just call it God of War Ragnarok.
We won't change them. Let's just give them what they want it.
We got a new trailer for Metroid Dread, with a bunch of a fair bit of gameplay footage of Samus running away from stuff, just running around the map. That's what it seemed like most of the gameplay was. And you can also go to the Metroid Dread website to get a bunch of lore. Is pretty much the ad for this. Are you excited for this?
Not really. I'm not a big fan on the original Metroid games. I think it's good at the same time. As we talked about this when this was first announced, this looks dated and it looks like it's a game that's in development hell for fucking the best part of a decade. It's a weird game. It almost feels like this is supposed to just tide people over until Metroid 4 or another game is released.
I mean, yeah. This looks like it was going to be an awesome looking 3DS game.
Exactly, yeah. It's just a bit of a weird spot it's coming out in. What's even weird, and it kind of further puts my worries, is the aspect ratio of the YouTube video that's been posted. It is just, it's just even shows that it's odd. It is just squarer, and it's almost like it's not built for your 6:9 aspect ratio or anything like that. It's very, very odd.
Yeah, so Metroid Dread coming soon-ish. Next
October?
up, yeah, I think. I think so.
Yeah.
Next up, big news.
Top right.
They're releasing a new plan to Nintendo Switch Online. There will be Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. As part of the Plus expansion pack, you'll get a selection of Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games. Games including, I think, like Mario Golf, Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie is coming down the line, Dr. Mario 64, some odd choices, and then Sega games like a bunch of Sonics and that kind of stuff. And you'll also be able to buy, through the Nintendo's online store, Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis control pads, which will be you can wirelessly connect to Nintendo Switch. Of course, no dates and no pricing, so we don't know exactly how much this is all going to cost. But Ciaran, is this a good move by Nintendo?
I don't know. Nintendo Online is a bowl of spaghetti that's been dropped and picked up off the floor about 3 or 4 times. Like, it's got cat hair in it. Like, you've maybe stood on a couple of the pieces of spaghetti by accident. You're like, man, this is all I've got to eat tonight. I can't be bothered cooking anything else. I don't know. Nintendo Online is just such a poorly managed service in many ways. And I think that it's just arcs back to Nintendo in general. Like, it's a similar thing to last week turning on Bluetooth on Nintendo devices remotely. It's just like, I don't know, it never feels fully thought out. It's still the fact of you need your phone to do voice chats over Nintendo Online, and it's just a weird service that is trying to, do the service that has already been created before them by both Xbox and, like, look, I freely and openly shit on PlayStation Network, but Nintendo Online makes PlayStation Network look really good value for money and really good in general. Rather than, just this hodgepodge of online services. And, it's just a weird one in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously, there have been rumors going around that Nintendo 64 games would be added. I'd be interested to see how much the extra cost is. Obviously, for a year of Nintendo Online here in Australia, it's like $30. So, if you want to chuck an extra $5 to get Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games, I mean, that wouldn't be outrageous, I don't think. Obviously, there is clearly a market for people who want to play these games again on a console that they can easily plug in and don't need to figure out how to plug in. I don't know, what's the cord with the 3 colors? The red, white, and yellow.
The AV cords?
The old TV. The AV cords. How are you supposed to plug that into a current TV? I don't know.
You're with an adapter of some kind, I think.
Yeah,
I believe
it's too much effort.
A lot of effort.
We're not all Jamie Pennick. Got every single.
I'd love to see how these Nintendo 64 games look docked on a big screen TV. Like, I've got to say, it must look terrible.
Okay, so the confirmed games. I've got the list up now. Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Lilac Wars, or Star Fox 64 as we know it here, Yoshi's Story, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Dr. Mario 64, Mario Tennis, Operation Winback, and Sin and Punishment. Seems odd that these people are getting so excited when obviously a bunch of better versions of these or remastered versions are available, obviously.
Now. That's the major problem with a lot of these. It's
like we just had all these Mario games released as our special package.
But that's why they were a stupidly timed exclusive deal.
Yeah, I guess. You can buy the best possible Mario Kart right now.
This might be a controversial. Might be a controversial thing. The original Mario Karts kind of suck. Like, kind of bad. Like, kind of not. I mean, like, they're okay, but at the same time, they haven't aged very well.
Yeah. And surely there's been a Ocarina of Time remaster that's on the Switch, right?
No. No, last
No?
Ocarina
Okay.
of Time remaster was Nintendo 3DS.
Interesting.
But-
Well, I know they had a Majora's Mask one recently, right?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I don't
then
believe so. Not
these
that I can remember.
upcoming launches of Legend of
they
Zelda Majora's Mask.
I think they announced Majora's Mask is coming off the top of my head.
I could have sworn there was a remake recently. Or remaster. That's for 3DS.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was 3DS stuff, but I can't remember them being Switch.
Crazy. Anyway. So coming will be Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Pokemon Snap, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, Mario Golf, Paper Mario, F-Zero X, and Banjo-Kazooie. So, some interesting titles in there.
Paper
and
Mario
then they've got a bunch of...
Paper Mario is probably the
Paper Mario, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and F-Zero, because I'll never make another F-Zero, apparently.
No.
And Banjo-Kazooie, I guess that's the only way you can play it on a Nintendo platform. Okay. Which is crazy. Then obviously a bunch of Sega Genesis games, or as this article put on Mega Drive. I don't know. This seems weird. This feels like, you know, how they've obviously over on WWE Network, they've got a bunch of WCW stuff on there.
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
Yep.
They won the war, so they're allowed to make profit off your content for the rest of the time. That's what this feels like. So you'll be able to play Golden Axe, Strider, Musha, Musha, I don't know, yeah. Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Dot No Robotnik's Bean Machine, Streets of Rage 2, Shinobi 3, Echo the Dolphin, Gunstar Heroes, Fantasy Star 4, Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hard Corps, and Rystar. So yeah. Big announcements. I'm sure it's going to please a certain niche of audience who actually uses any of those games and doesn't just use the Switch currently for new Nintendo exclusives.
I think
I'm sure there is
remembered
like
when,
a big enough market to justify
when they originally brought out the Nintendo Online, it was very much a thing of, oh, cool, I've got access to all these old games now, and then I don't think I ever played them or anything, because it was like...
No.
It was not...
Like, I played one game for a little bit. That was it. It's like, this is possible. But yeah, not something I regularly use anyway. Next up, Shadowrun Trilogy coming to Nintendo Switch. It's the Shadowrun games, you know, weird sci-fi RPG series. Next up, Castlevania Advanced Collection. All the Castlevania Nintendo games coming to the Switch. Obviously, this one was rumored. I think a lot of talk about it before. So yeah, this is something coming out. I'm not a big Castlevania fan, but you know,
I've always wanted to play Castlevania, but also at the same time, this isn't a remaster. This is just the old games.
Yeah.
So these will just still
So
look kind of sketchy on your Switch.
Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow, as well as Dracula X. Cool. Coming September 24th. It's out now. Out now.
Out now?
Yeah, out now. Shadow Drop.
Oh, far out. That's crazy.
Next up was ActRaiser Resistance. This hit for a certain segment of the audience who was actually liked this game. I'd never heard of this game before.
No, me either.
It looks weird. It's got a weird, like, 2D Dark Souls-esque, like, fighting system, and then a town management segment, which apparently, like, work together somehow into synergy.
You obviously, like, you go out on adventures and you come back and you manage your town.
Yep.
It's yep. Amen to that, brother.
Yeah, just like real life. So yeah, that's coming. It's launching. Also, it was also launched today. Another Shadow Drop. Crazy. Then we got a trailer for Deltarune Chapter 2, which will be a free update for people who got Deltarune on Nintendo Switch. Obviously, huge success over the past week or so when it was dropped by Toby Fox for free. So, you know, check that out. I think the album that he put out was charting from memory or something.
Was it really? That's kind of crazy.
It did. The sales were very well. It did very well. So, yeah. If you haven't played Deltarune Chapter 2, check that out. We had a quick montage of different games, including Hot Wheels Unleashed, which I know Dylan has been playing, so it's unfortunate he's not here today. Surviving the Aftermath, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Wreckfest, Arcade Archives, Pac-Man, and Rune Factory 5. Now we get to the big one. So they announced that a Super Mario movie is coming out. Miyamoto came out, interrupted the presentation so we could announce the release date of December 21st, 2022 for North America. We'd have to assume, hopefully, if all cinemas are perfectly fine by then, it'll be a similar time out here in Australia. But then he proceeded to reveal the voice cast. And let me tell you, Ciaran, my favourite thing of the last couple of days has been seeing people's reactions to the announcement.
I feel like Nintendo's just thrown a bunch of money at this. Like a bunch. And
Nintendo and Illumination, yeah.
Yeah, and look, honestly, if they had just not announced Chris Pratt as Mario, the internet would be raving about this cast. Like, I think the internet would be so overjoyed with this cast if it just didn't have Chris Pratt as Mario.
Yeah, so the cast is Chris Pratt voicing Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, with original Mario voice actor Charles Martinet set to do a bunch of cameos and that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is... I think...
just reading Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, the laughter is going to be great. He's just going to be smoking those bananas.
I was going to say yes. I thought that was one of the other Donkey Kong characters that was getting high off bananas, not Donkey Kong himself.
That's what I thought.
Isn't it Groovy Kong? Oh, I can't remember the character's name.
Yeah, that sounds right, but yeah. I think this is actually a good time to announce it. Like, we'll get all our laughs, get all our memes, and then 8 months from now, we'll get the first trailer, and everybody will kind of forget about the voice cast. And then the movie will come out, and everybody will be okay with it, I think.
Okay with it, hopefully.
I don't think they'll hate it. My expectations are low. I don't think people are going to love it. I don't think this would be very good.
No, I don't think it's going to be good. Is it? Is Chris Pratt?
I hope it is just a remake of the Super Mario movie.
Oh God! Oh no!
Just redo that plot. But
is Chris Pratt the only person people are having an issue with, or are people having an issue with other parts of this voice cast?
I think it's just overall because of it. I just think it just blew people's minds more than anything else.
I just think
that they're actually getting Hollywood stars to play
that they haven't just done
video
voice
game
actors.
characters.
The one that got me was reading Charlie Day as Luigi. Because, my brain didn't process that this was going to be an animated movie. And I was like, Charlie Day's kind of short to be playing Luigi, right?
My favorite thing is everybody cracks up every time they see Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. And it's because I imagine everybody's thinking at the same time. They're imagining Keegan-Michael Key with the Toad hat on.
Mm. I think that, or
that thought is hilarious.
What if it's they do a skit the old skit that Key and Peele used to do about Obama's real voice or his that's Toad and Princess Peach.
I mean, yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is not a terrible pick for Princess Peach. No. I just think you look at the rest of the cast, you're like, who's the odd one out? It's Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a very comedic, over-the-top performer.
I guess Peach doesn't have to be. Peach is often the quote-unquote straight man of the...
Yeah. That's kind of boring direction to take her in if she's the prim and proper princess.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, it would have been perfect. It was played by Elizabeth Banks or somebody like that. But I think then they're leaning way too close to the Lego Movie. They've already poached 2 of the stars from that. So
yeah. Look, it is. Yep. It's an interesting point for this cast, especially for it to be announced now during a direct. I think it's a big crazy thing, and I hope it does well.
Listen, it brought a lot of people a lot of joy. During these tough times, like there was nothing funnier in the past week than the announcement of this, and just Miyamoto talking about Chris Pratt saying he's so cool.
He's so cool.
I don't know.
Oh no,
man, I don't think anybody's been like. I put a Twitter poll up saying like who was the internet turned on more, Chris Pratt or James Corden? As like
I did see that, and it was.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting to see the hatred for Chris Pratt across the board. It's like
I think people will get over it. He'll do Guardian
I don't know,
soon, and it's not. Know. He did some.
The internet never forgets.
He fucked up. He fucked up real bad.
I don't know if he did. It's not like he did. Not like he killed somebody. It's like he went to church. Cool.
Yeah.
The church is homophobic. What a surprise. That's like 95% of church.
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yep.
But yeah. Then, to round out the show, Splatoon 3. Ciaran, this is the 3rd Splatoon game. The first one came out May 2015. We have to assume that Splatoon 3 is dated for sometime in 2022.
I think.
Why?
Splatoon is.
It's only been 4 years.
Yeah, but Splatoon's trying. Nintendo's trying really hard for Splatoon to be a thing. And look, honestly, this is the perfect way to end the show. There is nothing that could be done better to round out the Nintendo Direct. Nothing that could be announced that's going to be bigger than Splatoon 3. So, end the show on a high. People really get to get behind it. Look, it's crazy how quickly they're pumping these out. I've never extensively played either of the first 2, so I don't know how much of a difference there is between the first 2. All I know is that one of the villains of the second game is like the main character you played in the first game. But other than that, it is,
all I know is the Manimals are returning, apparently.
Oh shit! Right? Okay. Yep.
Oh.
It's it's just a weird one. It's they're trying real hard. I think they had Splatoon and ARMS kind of as their future game franchises to kind of join the realms of Mario and Donkey Kong and Zelda. It just hasn't entirely worked, and still doesn't entirely work.
Return of the Mammalians. I think that's how you pronounce it. So.
Mammalians.
This is yeah. I think Splatoon is like their new franchise that they're backing 110%.
Yes.
So.
Yep. But yeah.
And then I don't know. There was like some after trailer credit thing.
There was some weird fucking shit. My feed just went weird. I think it maybe Crunchyroll or something intercepted the feed and started putting some anime stuff on there. It was just
There was like this weird dragon creature, and then there was some like little rabbit dude or something.
Like all of a sudden,
I
could hear squealing all the way from Tasmania, and I was like, "What on earth is going on?" Look, I don't.
So,
are we?
Yes. This is a trailer for Bayonetta 3. It is still being worked on. Platinum. I think they probably went to Platinum Games with a couple of guns and held them up until they said, you need to release a trailer. No more games. No more new games until you put a trailer out. So they put a trailer out. So now we're going to cut to Dylan Blight, who'll go give us his in-depth analysis of this Bayonetta 3 trailer. Thanks, Dylan, for that really deep and well thought out analysis. I'm sure it was very useful for everybody listening. I feel more informed after listening to that about Bayonetta 3. So I still don't think it's coming out though. So yeah, solid show. Like a lot of announcements, a lot of things to make people happy, memorable at the very least. I don't think anybody's going to forget when they announce Chris Pratt as Mario
or Splatoon 3. I think the fans really got what they asked for. And probably more. Honestly, I think Nintendo, are, I don't think a little bit quiet is the right term for them towards the end of this 2021. They do have things coming out. I just don't think they have anything as a massive blockbuster release at the end of this year.
Yeah. I think, expectations of Zelda and other stuff. I mean, they've still got Pokemon Sapphire, Ruby, or whatever. Whichever one they're doing this year, so they've still got stuff, and of course, we'll be back, I'm sure, talking about Nintendo when they have their Smash reveal. Let us know on Twitter, who's the final fighter?
Who is it?
Why can't it be a giant hand?
Just tell them it's not going to be the giant hand. Just don't...
Alright, Ciaran, you finally rolled credits on Deathloop. Your review for Deathloop should be out probably by the time this goes up, I would assume. Assuming nothing goes wrong.
Assuming that the process of getting it on the website and out to the public doesn't, have a power failure.
Blow up the website, yeah.
Or whatever our website is on. Like, hopefully the host
doesn't go grey or something. Yeah.
The host doesn't... doesn't go grey. Deathloop finally managed to finish off, get the review out. Thankfully to Arcane and Studios and Bethesda, we did get a copy on release day. Look, I think Deathloop is a great game. It's definitely a good game. I think I'm definitely fallen on the lower end of the scale in terms of review and general feedback and perception of this game. I think when it was released, those places that were lucky enough to get review copies were generally falling around that 9-10 mark. I've only gone with an 8. And for me, I just think... I don't know if I'm just not drinking the same Kool-Aid or if I don't quite see the revolutionary stuff or the masterpiece stuff that other players and reviewers are kind of seeing with this game. I think this game has a really good premise. I just think in its execution, it is not that great, and I kind of understand... I understand why this game kept getting delayed, and I understand why it kept getting delayed, and I understand why it kind of... Even though it's finally out, part of me feels like this game probably could have got to the point where somebody said, hey, look, we just need to put this game out. It's a timed exclusive with PlayStation. We just need to get this game out now. We can't keep going around and round in circles on it, because I think this game's gameplay loop is just not optimized to the level that I would expect from this game or want from this type of game. And I think one of the big things I touched on in the article is, did Arcane and Bethesda really show what this game was in the trailer? And not just the trailer, all the trailers that we got leading up to this game. This game was
all 76.
Yeah, all Fallout 76 of them. Yeah, we originally, this game was originally announced E3 2019, and I feel like almost every single press conference since then that hasn't just been Xbox and Nintendo has had a Deathloop trailer in it. And the game that we presented there was the story of a character named Colt who had to, in a single day, kill a whole bunch of people in a row to break the loop. And that's not exactly what this game is. It is not as rogue, or it's not as kind of that the punishment of death is not as big of a problem as what the trailers ever implied it was. You don't have to do this game in one big run like you would, say, Hades or other kind of roguelike games. There is a lot of trial and error in this game in terms of just trial and error, but you're always progressing, you're always learning. Death isn't a problem. I make death seem like a problem, and they made death seem like a problem. You get like 2 extra lives every single time you go out into the world, and then on top of that, those deaths reset every time you kill Juliana if she does hunt you in that specific area. It is a ridiculous and crazy thing that the trailers really didn't portray what this game was. The days are separated into 4 different time periods that you get to go in, and when you start the time period, you get your lives back, you get all your ammo back. I don't know, this game is it's a lot more narrative based and story driven than maybe the trailers led you to believe in terms of objectives and going where to go.
Why is that a problem, Ciaran?
I think it is. I guess for me, is a problem in terms of. I think a lot of players went into this game when it was first released expecting something fairly different, and then it kind of being something that's much better. It's not necessarily a problem. I just think that I think I've made it sound like a problem.
The problem is they gave us something better than we thought we were going to get.
No, but like the problem is that I think a lot of people maybe didn't buy this game because they thought it was going to be a roguelike game. Like, I think a lot of people thought it was. And look, there's definitely a conversation to be had about the difficulty of this game in terms of those with disabilities and accessibility, because at the end of the day, it is a very punishing game, and I think in terms of the basic game design, and I think even, if I do recommend people go check out Steve Saylor's videos. I think he's done a very good job of explaining the problems for accessibility wise, not just the kind of the obvious ones about the text being so small, but just also the basic issues with the game. But then I think on the other hand, which is, it's kind of a crazy thing to discuss and to think about, the biggest letdown I have with this game is the AI. I think the AI is maybe really poor, and I think maybe that's where they were struggling with during the time periods of delaying this game, because there's a lot of times where like two characters will be talking to each other and you shoot one of those characters. The other character doesn't like instantly react. He kind of looks around confused for a second and then maybe runs off and hide. It doesn't alert people. They don't always react very. It makes sense. Like, you could sit there trying to shoot a headshot at somebody and miss like 3 times either side of them. They won't notice, and then you'll hit the 4th one. It's just, there's a lot of I feel like
that's me.
I just feel like there is a lot. In my opinion, there's a lot of polish missing from this game, which is not polish, not visual polish, but just. I guess the stuff like, I wish there was more interaction with the main. They're called visionaries in the game, but they're the people you're trying to kill in this game. I wish there was more interaction and more character from them than just the basics of, of just, I don't know. They're supposed to be characters that cults interacted with before, but that doesn't seem to be that connection in the game very often when you're actually physically doing it. Like, documents tell you that Cult has a relationship with these people, but there's not much in the actual game itself for. Do you disagree?
I think Cult has amnesia, so it's hard to say.
But
wow, Cult, why aren't you talking to these people like you actually know them? And then those people are wanting to kill Cult, so I don't think they're really in the mood to like talk to Cult about these issues.
No, but if you imagine the more the banter, the more kind of conversationalist nature to it. Like, the only one that makes me think about it is that it kind of happens with is one of the characters you approach, and he's in like at one of the times you can approach him, he's in like a radio studio recording booth, and if you approach him from a front-on perspective, he talks to you through the booth for a little bit, and
I've never done that,
and has an interaction with you, and that's cool, but at the same time, that's the only one that's like that. A lot of the other characters, like, you either just you see them and
they see you, they shoot you in the face.
They instantly start shooting at you, or they instantly start teleporting away, or one of them, I accidentally hacked a machine gun turret that was near them, and the machine gun turret just flat out killed them. And I was like, huh.
I mean, that's what I do with Frank. I just set up 2 machine guns in the 2 exits and then open the door.
Oh. I don't go through that much. I think that is, but look, I think I rag on this game and I make it sound a lot worse. I think it's still a great game. Like, I still give it an 8. Like, it's still a really solid game. I just think there are just problems with the overall gameplay experience that, towards the end of the game, which was probably, I would say 10 hours, really took me to finish this game. Towards the end, I was just following, like, I had paths for each area of the game that I knew I could go on to achieve whatever goal I had to achieve. And there was very little reason for me to diverge from those paths or kind of do anything different. I know if I went this direction, I go down this section, I shoot these 2 people, I'm at the visionary or the person I need to kill, or I'm at the objective I need to do. And there's very little reactiveness to your play or reactiveness from the character, considering these are all characters that are stuck in the loop with you, and as far as I'm aware in the story, they should have like either some kind of, maybe not any kind of memory of what's going on, but it's just there's a lot of rules around the game that maybe I just don't understand well enough, or I didn't get made it put across to me by the game, that I think could have just been added to make it a bit more immersive and a little bit more connective for the player. Yeah, so maybe an 8's a bit rough, but no, an 8's not rough at all. An 8's an 8. I enjoyed my time with it. I definitely think a minor point is that, like, with the deluxe edition of the game, you get a silenced pistol, and that is just the go-to pistol for me for the entire game because it just solves all your problems. You don't alert people to it. There's even times where I'm in a firefight with people who don't have silenced weapons, and nobody else comes running from a different area. I'm expecting games where you, like, you know, there are games where, stealth games where you kick the hornet's nest and all the hornets come out at you, and you're like, fuck, okay, I screwed up. This game really isn't that when I was expecting it to be. But it's still...
I think that's a realistic versus fun element. Is like...
Yes, but...
That's the balance. And I think it could have been fixed by having a difficulty option.
Yes, I think either having a difficulty option or just... I don't know, it's very...
Admittedly, all these minions who are going around on this map are super drunk and hungover. All day. Drinking all the time. So that kind of explains why they're so dumb and not very smart.
But that's the thing. That's the only thing is that there's not very much range to those people. Like, those people are really all just caricatures of each other at the end of the day. There's not...
Yeah.
There's not much significantly different about them until you get to each of the 8-9 visionaries. And look, towards the end of the game, when you have organized a route to kill all of them in a single run, it's really cool and really fun, and it feels, sections that you're like, man, I thought this was going to be a real annoying boss fight, isn't a real annoying boss fight. And I just think some of the mechanics just make the game, just take a lot of the... not the fear and the planning out of the game, but just I guess, for me personally, I really like tougher games of this style that give you reward for being like, hey, I scoped out a secret entrance to this base, and I managed to sneak my way in, do this thing, and I know how to do that. And I feel rewarded for that, because I know if I screwed up, it was going to be real hard, or something was going to go wrong. This game doesn't have that, because you can kind of either... If you do get caught and end up in a bad situation, you just rewind into a different position with your death animation and get respawned, and you're good to go. But that's honestly, that's enough. We talked about Deathloop for 2 weeks now across 3 different shows. Yep. If you want to read more of my thoughts, or kind of interested in my thoughts compared to your own on Deathloop, please feel free to check out explosionnetwork.com and check out the full review there, where I maybe articulate my thoughts better than I have today. Maybe not. I don't know. I spent most of the day thinking about Deathloop and trying to articulate it. So, probably could have just be out of words.
Well, I guess if you're still over at explosionnetwork.com and checking out Ciaran's review of Deathloop, you could check out Dylan's review of Kenna Bridge of Spirits. We talked about it on Platinum Explosion this week, which you can find on good podcasting services, probably like the one you're listening to this one on. And he gave it a 7 out of 10, so, good, but I believe he had issues with the story and characters, despite the game being beautiful to look at. So, but yeah, Ken has obviously gotten a bunch of good reviews from other places as well. So, read his review, play the game, gather your thoughts. A couple of news stories to finish things up for this week. Apparently, Quantic Dreams, the creators behind Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, are set to add an entry to the Star Wars universe. French YouTuber and former journalist Gautsoz originally put it on the rumor by stating that Quantic Dream has signed with Disney. This rumor was later corroborated by Tom Henderson of Jewel Shockers, We had an inside source who claimed that not only was the game a reality, but it's been in the pipeline for 18 months. Henderson source provided overwhelming evidence that David Cage's team is taking a trip to a galaxy far, far away, though no further details are circulating. Of course, keep in mind this isn't an official announcement, so don't get too excited or anxious just yet. Ciaran, how do you feel about Quantic Dreams making a Star Wars game?
It's weird. It's. I'm really interested because generally Quantic Dreams games tries to have some kind of maybe political or meta message to their games that can be kind of divisive at times. And now they're going to make a Star Wars game where that probably isn't going to be featured very well. It'll be interesting if they go anywhere near Jedis and the mystical side of the Star Wars universe. Yes, they did with Beyond Two Souls. Yes, Beyond Two Souls, they had some kind of mystical elements to it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they use the content and how they make their own kind of game within that universe.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting high concept. It's like Quantic Dream, follow-up from Detroit Beyond Human, or Detroit. Is it going to be a game like that, potentially, where it's a bunch of
I hope so.
interchanging, cool, like, potential endings and shit?
Like, I think so. I think if...
Could you potentially be following a bunch of different characters and, like...
I would like to think so. Definitely. Because I think that was the good part of Detroit, was just how different the endings could be and the fact that you could lose characters.
Your story is mostly different than everybody else. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I like that, and I hope, they have a whole wider galaxy far, far away filled with potential locations and places for people to be. They could tackle a story about people living under the Empire and what the normal average person's life was like, or there's a lot to pick from and draw from. It'll be super interesting what point in Star Wars history they want to do a game in, and also just the general kind of setting for it as a whole, because as we're recently seeing with the recently released Star Wars Visions, you can do a lot with the Star Wars toy box. You can play around and be very inventive with Star Wars. So hopefully they do something with it and they excel at trying to push their boundaries a little bit more.
Hopefully. It doesn't have to be canon or anything, but give them kind of free reign to do whatever they want to. I guess the other thing I think it's interesting, obviously, this would probably, you would imagine, be more of like an adventure game-esque kind of entry. Mm-hmm. Obviously steering away from like EA's exclusive contract, which didn't really pan out for Star Wars games in general. So now we've got, obviously, you would assume Jedi Fallen Order 2. We know there's a Ubisoft game in development, and some other stuff, I believe. So yeah, lots of Star Wars games coming down the line. Obviously, on top of Knights of the Old Republic, which we all know.
Both the original and Switch, and the remake on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, so Star Wars fans have lots to look forward to. Here we go. This is an interesting one. Microsoft Perfect Dark reboot will now be co-developed by Crystal Dynamics. Microsoft's mysterious new Perfect Dark game will be co-developed by Marvel's Avengers and Tomb Raider studio Crystal Dynamics. It's a surprising announcement, considering the fact that the reboot was, until now, an entirely first-party project. Crystal Dynamics, meanwhile, is a subsidiary of Square Enix. But it does make sense. The initiative's Microsoft Santa Monica-based team set up to work on the project was founded by former Crystal Dynamics boss Gerald Gallagher, and also counts Tomb Raider reboot director David Neuberger among his ranks. So the initiative said on Twitter, Perfect Dark update. We are partnering with Crystal Dynamics, the world-class team behind the character-driven games such as Tomb Raider, to bring this first-person spy thriller to a new generation. The teams couldn't pass up a chance to work together. We're still early in development, but incredibly excited to use this unique opportunity to deliver on the vision for Perfect Dark. Ciaran, how do you feel about this news, and why does Xbox need outside help to make their video games?
I think this is... I actually see this as a positive. I think a studio admitting that they need help is, in this current climate, should be something that's fucking celebrated by people. Comparing it to when, all these people that come out and complain about crunch and complain about people being overworked and studios pushing themselves to their very limits to get a game out, people should be seeing the initiative bringing in another studio that maybe isn't working on something of their own right now, providing them work, and also taking workload off their people already. This should just be a universally fucking celebrated thing, right? This should be just a great job initiative. Thank you. Good job for feeling the need to bring on the work, to spread the workload a little bit more. I feel like everybody... So many people are like, well, why isn't Xbox first-party studios needing help? Why? I don't know. I feel like it's a very...
Ciaran, they bought 60 different studios. Why can't one of those help out?
Maybe this is, maybe this is a bit of down-the-line knowledge of future studios that are going to be part of the Xbox team.
Oh, that's wishful thinking, but yeah, I mean, if we get a Perfect Dark, which is a franchise I don't really have much love for or have played very much, but if we get some of the games in the vein of the Tomb Raider games, which admittedly I've only played through the first one and a bit of the second one, but are well regarded for the most part, if we get character-like games with those, but with a more spy-esque feel to them, that could be really cool. It sounds like, obviously, this game is still very early in development, even though there was a trailer at the Game Awards last year. They could still be working on character stuff and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I guess Crystal Dynamics obviously finished Marvel's Avengers. If they're not working on it, you'd assume the other team is taking over pretty much the roadmap for for Marvel's Avengers, and this is obviously their next big project. The other reason they could be brought on is they're trying to fast track this project. It's like, yeah, let's get another studio on so we can speed up the time frame for this because we've got no games coming out.
That's well, no, fuck off, Ashley. I was nodding.
A second away
I was nodding to my brain. What do you mean they've got no games coming out?
No, I'm just...
You are! I know you're trying to bait the shit out of me with that one, you fucking crazy fucking...
But yeah, do you have much luck for Perfect Dark? I can't remember.
Not really. I think I remember the Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark had this very similar aiming system to GoldenEye originally.
It was them doing GoldenEye when they didn't have the GoldenEye license.
Yes, yeah. So. I think it's a good franchise that, probably it's about time that another game gets released for it. I think the last one was Xbox 360, and was probably fell a little bit short from fans' kind of desires. So hopefully we get more character-driven, kind of futuristic spy espionage gameplay that we definitely deserve as a gaming community.
So I guess look forward to that. And the last story for this week, the Persona franchise is set to celebrate its 25th anniversary. A good anniversary number. So over on Atlus website, they said this September Persona series will celebrate its 25th anniversary. We want to thank everybody who has supported the series through all these years. To thank you, we're preparing a year-long campaign from September 2021 to fall 2022 as the Persona 25th anniversary year, and we cannot wait for you to see everything we've got planned. They're about to drop a whole bunch of merch over at their shop. They've got a bunch of digital wallpapers, and there'll be a bunch of announcements throughout the year. Ciaran, what do you want from Persona this year? Can we see Persona 5 Royal on Nintendo Switch? That's what the people want.
Crazier things have happened. Would it be something for you to finally motivate you, Ashley, to finally pick up and play the superior version of Persona 5?
Not really.
I just think, it's definitely something that needs to be out and available to more people. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It is definitely something that, if available, should definitely be brought forward and made more available for more people to enjoy and play.
Yeah. I would be shocked if there isn't a re-release of the other 4 games on current gen consoles.
Yep.
Obviously, they had that big Persona 4 on PC last year.
They did.
If that doesn't come to next gen consoles, I would be shocked. And then everything. Just put them all out. So new people to the franchise can play those old games, even a remake of one or something. I don't know. Persona. It's the new Final Fantasy. But yeah, obviously I've made fun of people who wanted on the Switch in the past, but it's fine. It's been long enough, and 25 years is a good reason to put it on your handheld console, so you can play it. You can play somebody reading on a bus while on a bus. All right, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Let us know what you thought of anything we talked about on the show by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to a Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want us to help us out here on Arcade Couch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show. It's pretty great. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support and buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you here next week. Same time, same couch. I mean, it's not entirely true, because next week, the devil's time starts back up. Daylight savings. So potentially it'll be an hour earlier for some people than other people.